Hey guys, welcome back to the Cosmic Panel, where today we're going to be discussing the DCU show Creature Commandos. Get ready for spoilers as we talk about the entire first season. But before we get into that, Elias has a quick word for you.
That's right. We are having our first ever live claim sale on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, all the social medias that we can possibly link. And we're going to be selling some comic books. If you're watching this video, we figure you might like comics. So I just wanted to show off a couple things real quick because we're going to have everything from the golden age to the modern age, up to the modern age. So, if you're looking for a little Jeff action, we got that. If you're looking for a little, 80s key black suit, we got that. If you're looking for some golden age stuff, we got that. And if you're looking just for some crazy oddball stuff, we got that too. So we're selling comics, toys, and all sorts of collectibles. Tune in 6 p.m. January 15th. That's Wednesday. And yeah, thanks.
Anyway, guys, remember to like, subscribe, and let's get right into this. Elias, give me your quick thoughts about Creature Commandos.
Well, I think that the flashbacks were much more intriguing than the main plot. Um, for me, the main plot wasn't very engaging. Um, when you're working with characters that you don't know well, um, you need backstory. And I think that because we got so much backstory from the Creature Commandos themselves, not getting enough backstory on like the villains and like no real motive for like the princess and stuff like that just really detracted from the show for me. Um, but yeah, I'll get more into that later. But that's kind of yes. I like the flashbacks more than the modern day story.
Yeah, I surprisingly agree. I feel like the when it comes to the Creature Commandos, very very well fleshed out. But then as soon as you move on to the antagonists and stuff like that, you really get like surface level, and it kind of hinders the story because especially with the princess, we want to know more of her motivation. Why is she the way that she is? How did she achieve certain plans, and like what was her thought process? So it definitely feels like there could have been more that could have been done with them, and the plot is like pretty bare bones when you break it down. So it could have used a little bit more substance when it came to the main plot, especially because the Creature Commandos were so interesting.
Yeah, and for characters that people don't know, I think they do a really good job of pulling you in with these flashback stories. A lot of them being obviously very tragic. You can't help but feel bad for these characters, and that's just really important, obviously, for building a bond with characters, especially when they just when they die. Um,
And
but
boy,
yeah,
do they die!
and boy, do they die. But do you want to take it from the top and kind of work down the episode list, or how do you want to do it?
So I was thinking that we could tackle the characters themselves, just like as like general ideas, and then we can talk about the plot as its own separate thing.
Cool.
Um, but yeah, so what are your thoughts? So the cool thing about this show, in case people didn't know, the voice actors are going to actually be acting as the characters whenever they're going into live action, which does make this casting a little bit harder because you have to not only have a good voice actor, but you have to have a good like person that's going to match the physicality of the person. Alan Tudyk is a phenomenal example, in my opinion. Uh, Voices the character phenomenally, one of my favorite characters in the entire show, and is going to play him in live action. Really interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
unfortunately for David Harbour, he's going to have to get leg extensions and
yeah, yeah.
steroids, and I just feel terrible for the guy.
Actually, I think they should just attach new arms to him. It should be like just like gorilla arms to him, and it should be
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, but the first character that we should talk about is who is arguably the main character of the series, the bride. Um, yeah, I thought her story was really interesting. It's quite different from the DC Comics version, especially because this version of the bride had to deal with Frankenstein, who is way worse than he is in the comics. Frankenstein kind of is like a own like self-loathing character in the comics who yes he loves the bride, but it isn't his sole focus in life. Where in this place, Frankenstein's just an incel, which is fun. But it's interesting to see the bride just in a very different direction.
Yeah, really. I know we're talking about Bride, but really quick to touch on Frankenstein himself. It's just really one note. Like I just found that so uninteresting. Like it just the bit got old, and he's just sort of an irredeemable asshole. And it's just like I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy his character, especially knowing the comic version.
That's fair. I can definitely understand, and yeah, I definitely wish we had more of the comic influence on the character. I do like that he's an asshole, but I wish he was a little bit more. It's not surface
Yeah,
level.
not one
Um,
dimensional. Like he's got
yeah,
more
that's
to
a
him
better
than
way to
just
put it.
like being like a. He's like basically just a big fucking like klutz, like just like kind of just fumbling through and being a deranged romantic, and it's just like I don't know, it's just not interesting.
If anything, they should have made him the villain if they were going to lean into that so much. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like they should have just committed to him being the main villain.
yeah, he
Uh,
just became a joke.
yeah. Especially because when they introduced him, they made him seem imposing. I was like, okay, interesting. And then I was like, okay, maybe he's going to be the main villain, and then we're protecting the princess from Cersei, and then him. Uh, and that would have been interesting to see. But yeah, the bride though, super well done. I really love her character. I really love how morally gray she is, but also how much you can tell that she, when a person's good, she genuinely cares for them. I think that was really unique, and it really goes to show a side of like she's a monster, but she's also not a cold blooded monster, if that makes sense.
Yeah, honestly, she wasn't my favorite out of all the creature commandos.
Oh, mine neither,
Um,
but I think she was well done, personally.
Gotcha. Yeah, not my favorite character. But that's just me.
After that, I think we should talk about hit character GI Robot.
Yeah, now him I like.
GI Robot was, man, the amount of references. Oh my god! As a comic nerd, I was geeking throughout the entire episode. But then on top of that, it was just GI Robot was
Wait,
so
wait, wait, wait,
fun,
wait. You're a comic nerd?
bro. We got Sergeant Rock, which is wild. And apparently, in development is a movie with Daniel Craig as Sergeant Rock,
Okay,
uh,
okay.
the guy who played James Bond
That would be
previously.
cool.
So, yeah, exactly. It would be cool to have a Sergeant Rock movie. Crazy that that's even words that's coming out of my mouth. But James Gunn cares more about good movie than connecting to the universe. So hey, but that was really cool. The Metal Man tease was really sick. As a huge Metal Man fan, I was like, oh yeah. William Magnus learning from GI Robot and then being like, yeah, I'll give you some upgrades, and it was just like,
Mm-hmm.
but I love GI Robots. It's simple. He wants to kill Nazis, and somehow he is still more complex than Frankenstein.
Yep.
But I really loved him. I love that entire flashback of him killing the Nazi party, intercut with like him killing the soldiers, and then he came back. He was actually back. He didn't die, which is nice. I was really worried. I was also wondering like why the fuck no one picked up his head.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I mean, you always hope that a robot character can easily be brought back, but you wonder to what extent they're going to be intact. you know.
Yeah, and it looks like the man hit the gym.
Yeah.
He took some roids in between.
But yeah, he
um,
was really fun. That's Alan.
no, that's
Alan.
Sean Gunn.
Oh, Sean Gunn. Right.
Sean Gunn did Weasel and did GI Robot. Speaking of Weasel,
Right.
that was the next one I wanted to talk about. What were your thoughts about Weasel?
Yeah. Great. Great episode.
Best
With
backstory.
his flashbacks. Yeah. The kind of monster I like, where it's a misunderstood monster who can't communicate in the way of a human. So people are afraid of them because they're of their appearance. So yeah, that's kind of just my classic like go to monster that I enjoy. So yeah, you know, um, I hope people watch this show just for that. Like,
Yeah.
just to know that he didn't kill, 16 kids or whatever.
Yeah, oh my god. Like when they first introduced, I was like, this guy killed 16 children. Like even in like the original movie, you're like, really? This dumb as fuck animal?
Right.
And
No,
I
but
was
I'm
like,
glad they went this route with it. They weren't just like, yeah, he actually killed 16. Like, he's a terrible piece of shit. Like, no,
yeah,
he's
no.
just a fucking
He's an animal.
poor
He was
animal.
playing he was
Like,
playing he was playing with them. And
yeah.
do we get an origin for him? No, because we don't need one. Like he's just a random creature. Like it's Lord knows what fucked what to make him, but
Well, I'm always just most curious about, or I was always most curious about, how they got arrested, like how they got into, jail
that
or this program. So that's kind of what I was waiting for every time.
yeah, we
And
didn't
so
really get
for
that to
him,
be honest for some of the characters.
yeah, for some of the characters we didn't. Yeah,
Like Bride, I don't remember us getting that for her.
I don't think they gave it to us for Bride or Nina. I mean,
Yeah.
Nina's kind of
Well, Nina, they did show her getting arrested, but it
getting
wasn't
arrested.
specifically
Right. It was
yeah
just like the local
broad.
police or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know how she became like criminal, but yeah, I guess
Um.
they can do whatever with her. But yeah, yeah, he was great.
Yeah. As someone who loved the Suicide, I mean, not the first Suicide Squad. Fuck the first Suicide Squad. The second one, which is James Gunn directed. As someone who loved that film, Weasel was not a character I was really going into this being like, man, I can't wait to see Weasel again. Now this is a character that I genuinely want to see again because he was so fucking funny. Even when he was doing screen shit, it was so funny because it was just him playing like fetch with the princess or like being a fucking like when he's with the lawyer and he's like looking at the photo and then he goes oh, just like goes to eat it. It's like he has one brain cell
And then the
and half
call
of it
back to the drowning at the end there in the last episode. I was like, oh my God, that was great.
yeah, I was like, no, of all the characters, he can't go in. He's like the one person who can't. But I love that he's just so he's the equivalent of like that chicken in Moana, like where it's just like it barely functions to survive. But I love him like with the wolves too. That was super fun. That was so adorable. And I was like, please don't leave the wolves. And then he left. But
I was hoping he was going to bring them for backup or something.
yeah, that too. I thought maybe he would get cornered and then he would like the soldiers would like corner him and then they would like kill
The
the
wolves
wolves
would
would kill
jump in,
them.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, really, really great. uh, after that is uh, Doctor Phosphorus. Man, what a I like me a good villain. I like that he's not like a great. I like that he's not a fully redeemable person. He did kill two children. Like that is
Yeah.
he killed two children. He became a crime boss in Gotham. Like he is genuinely a bad person. Like like yeah, he had a sad backstory, but regardless, that doesn't forgive what he's done. Like some of these characters, it easily forgives what they've done. Like in retrospect, I like that he's just like, nope, he's an awful person, and that's it. But he was always so good at jokes and stuff. Alan Tudyk's delivery was phenomenal, uh, and I love when he's like, "You see, I'm not smiling now. I'm smiling." It's so funny. Oh man.
Yeah.
So,
He was interesting, when you're first introduced to him in the show, you just think he's just like straight up an asshole and he's just kind of, you know, thoughtless in his actions. But the backstory, is helpful. Just shows like the breaking point of a man, basically, and just that twist to you know being a villain. Um,
yeah.
which I think anyone who was put through everything he was put through
Oh
would
yeah.
become. So that was helpful. I think before that he was rather, one dimensional. But you get a lot more out of that episode. I guess
You thought
there
he
was
was one dimensional before his like flashback?
yeah, I just thought he was sort of like just a murderous, villain, like, just not very very nuanced. Like
Huh.
he was just kind of a jerk, and he was like, down to kill whatever.
I kind of didn't feel like that just because like with like the whole Rick Flag senior interaction, like that for me was like what like really like showed like he's more than just a thoughtless killing machine. Where like after he fights him, he's like helping him and like trying to talk to him and like actually trying to engage with what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that whole attack just like painted him in a bad light.
Oh, the attack, yes, I'm talking about
Um,
like the actions afterward though.
yeah, I mean, I think he felt like bad for it, but I don't feel like he redeemed himself necessarily.
Oh well, I didn't want him redeemed either way. I want him to be an asshole through and through. Personally,
Sure, no, sure.
I for me at least, like there was already so many redeemable characters. If everyone was redeemable, I'd be a little bit more like, okay, come on, James Gunn. Like I don't need everyone to be a hero
Yeah, yeah,
type of thing. So
yeah.
I was glad that he was just he's awful. He's awful. Like
Sure, but
will he just kill an innocent child? No. But will he kill just soldiers while flipping off the berth, going through a tank? Yes.
yeah, no, I think just that origin episode just provided a lot that I guess if I watched the show again, I would take that into account. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That kind of thing.
I also love the use of his powers. They were so creative,
Yeah, yeah.
like
No,
going
he
through the
was the most
doorknob and
interesting
such.
power wise. Yeah, he was
Weasel
the most
Weasel
interesting
biting
to watch.
him and not immediately just fucking dying is crazy though.
Well, it's interesting. It seems like he has control over when he flares up the radiation or not, basically.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah, still a lot to be explained about him, I'm sure.
After that, I think we should talk about Nina, who Nina Mazursky, who is the basically the fill-in amphibious creature, the creature from the Black Lagoon fill-in for this creature Commandos. And man, she she deserved better, man. She deserves so much better.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the Suicide Squad trope of like the most honest, character dies because they're just not, cut out for the cutthroat nature of that team,
Yeah,
basically. So that's definitely, I feel like that's what that was a result of. Um, yeah, very, very tragic backstory for her. Very interesting backstory. I didn't know where they were going when she was like born as a human. I was like, oh,
yeah, I was also surprised.
so that was interesting. But yeah, I think pretty creative origin.
Yeah, I thought she would be Atlantean or something. Like that's what I was really thinking. Like, or maybe like almost like Arthur, where it's like half Atlantean, half American or human. Uh, not that okay. I'm
Half
gonna
American.
have. Uh, but man, yeah, what a brutal origin story, and then to see her dad die in front of her, and then being shoved away, and then brought to this like creature commandos whole situation, and then the one time she's like, okay, I'm gonna do this for the team, and she dies, and it's fucking heartbreaking. And man, that scene, that entire sequence, I was like stressed because like, man, as soon as she started stabbing her, and then she like had that cold like murderous glare, the princess, I was like, oh, we're fucked. Like this is she's dead. Like there's no healing this or fixing this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then last character, or I guess two last characters. Rick Flag Sr.
Mm.
I thought it was interesting. Didn't really touch too much on his son's death, which I thought was
Well, he didn't have a flashback though, did he?
no, he didn't. He
Yeah.
didn't. But I still consider him as like part of the creature commandos just because he was in the start
Oh
of
yeah,
the
yeah. No, I
credits.
just meant like there's not as much to break down with him just because
Yeah,
there's no there's no flashback for him.
I just thought we would get more about his son. To be honest,
Yeah,
like that's genuinely what I was surprised that like there was that moment where it was like Amanda was like, "You can't die without knowing," and I thought she was gonna tell him about her like his son's death.
mm-hmm.
Like I thought that was going into that where she was gonna be like, I'm the reason that your son's dead, and then he would like wake up
Yeah.
like angry as fuck. Like I really thought
Amanda
that would
was
be
low key stupid in this.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't think that Viola Davis is that great of a voice actress, honestly.
Yeah,
It felt
that's
I
true
don't know if it
too.
was because it wasn't mixed well or she's just not good at voice acting. It felt very like whenever she was talking, it felt like someone had recorded her randomly and then was like, "Hey, here's this take. I need you to
Yeah,
record this." Like it didn't feel like she was like with the cast interacting.
sure.
Um, so yeah, it kind of felt flat. It felt weird.
Yeah.
For her, John, what's his name? The guy from Peacemaker,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
sounded fine. Like I thought he sounded great. Like he mixed
Mm-hmm.
right in voice acting wise. So I was like,
Yeah.
that's why I was really surprised. I was like, I thought it was like, oh, maybe it's just the main cast. That's a thing, but like no, like even the side characters sounded better
Yeah.
than Amanda. It was kind of weird.
Yeah. It's strange.
And then the princess, pretty one note. I thought we would get more. I really thought we would get more motivation wise. They had the whole like Cersei uh prediction. I was like, okay, cool. Okay, we're getting to something.
Yeah.
And then they never even explain how she even gets that power for like what like give me something that will explain how she gets that powerful. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, they have advanced weapons. So does the US. Like they have monsters, they have Superman. Like from what we understand, they have plenty of vigilantes and heroes. From what we literally saw Batman and Wonder Woman and all of them. Like, how does she defeat all of them?
Mm.
That's I wanted at least like not like the straight up answer. I wanted an inkling, like a seed of like this will
Yeah.
explain her eventual power rise.
Yeah.
And we
So
didn't
yeah,
get that.
this right. Yeah, so this transitions perfectly into talking about the plot, obviously. But my whole thing, the whole show was like, I was waiting for some big twist, and when the bride is explaining it, I'm like rewinding it like 10 times. I'm like, okay, but why did she use Clayface? Like, why did she like? What is her motive?
Yeah, the
Like,
plan felt
what?
weird.
Yeah, and so the twist really didn't land. And I was like, damn, that sucks. I was really hoping that this could tie it all together and
Yeah,
make this
especially
villain
because
worth
Nina's
it.
death.
Yeah, like you make this villain, a villain. Like don't just be like, oh, haha, she's sexy lady at the beginning and now she's the evil. Like that's all it.
Yeah,
Like it was very very strange.
and also they kill her off, and I was like, well, okay, I guess we're never getting a further explanation of this character, which is like fine if like she didn't feel so one dimensional.
Yeah,
Like that's
like
that's the key.
mhm.
Um,
Like theoretically, killing the princess would lead to a war with America. Like that's what they were concerned about. So, but it sounds. I mean, it feels like they're never going to follow up on
I
this.
literally don't understand how the bride got away with that. Like one, no one heard the gunshot, which is crazy, but
Yeah,
also
everybody was
Wa-
in the
Wa-
fucking castle.
Waller didn't reprimand her. Waller was like, "No, okay, you're back." I literally just cuts to her back in the U.S. and I was like, "What?" And then it was like, "Yeah, your team." I'm like, "Wait, she's getting command of the team again?"
Well, I think John was like congratulating her, like apparent like she
Like
did the
Waller
right
was proud of.
she did the right thing. Like yeah, maybe the bride. I think we're
It feels
supposed
like
to
they're missing a
assume.
scene.
Oh, for sure, but I think there's a lot of presumption in this show,
Yeah,
and I think one of the things we're supposed to presume is that Amanda and Bride had a conversation. Bride explained to her that she actually was evil, and I guess like that's what happened. But yeah, we needed an explanation of that. Yeah, it's very strange. So
yeah.
yeah, it just overall just really feels to me as though James like spent a lot of time writing these characters, but didn't have a vehicle for them. Like besides their flashbacks, it was very strange.
I feel like he should have waited on this. Like, as much as I am happy that the DCU is releasing stuff, I feel like he maybe should have waited after Superman, because then you can reference stuff from that film, bring in more stuff from the world, and make it feel like it has more impact. This, like, we know that this country is not gonna. I mean,
Well,
maybe
Golistan is
that's.
not a comic reference, right?
I don't believe so.
So like, yeah, to your point, like not having the threat of a character that we know just makes it feel like they're afraid to use more properties. Like they're afraid to introduce. too many more players because it's an animated project and he's just starting his universe. Like that's the vibe I got.
Yeah, like they introduced Clayface, which was sick. I really thought that was cool. That was a good twist.
But
Um,
he's dead.
is he dead?
I mean, when they went back to the house, and he was just splattered on the floor still. Like if he was alive, like his face, they showed his face. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
I
if he
just
was
took it as like
alive,
he took off like the way that I kind of interpreted him was like he was like almost like ripping off his skin to form like a new version of himself or something. I
when
don't know.
Frankenstein plugged into the wall or whatever, they
Oh
made a
wait,
huge
yeah,
point of him splattering everywhere. So I'm like, oh, he's dead as shit because they go back to the house and there's shit everywhere,
true.
which
Hmm.
is kind of sucks because doesn't that now mean like the DCU Clayface is dead?
I don't think so. Just because I have to like say no, just because there's going to be a movie now, so like I have to assume that he's not.
I
But
just feel like they shouldn't have. For plot reasons, they had to have him there at the house when John and Amanda showed up. But for Clayface accurate reasons, he shouldn't have been on the
yeah,
floor.
like it should
That's all
have
I'm saying.
just seeing the dead body would have been enough, to be honest, and like the clay on the TV. I feel
Yeah,
like that you didn't have to like have his face there, his head.
yeah, that's all.
Um, whatever. Um, yeah, like it felt like we had Cersei, and that was cool. I was actually really interested in getting backstory about her more than anything else. She was genuinely interesting, and I was like, okay, cool. Okay, why is she working with man? That was my major question. Was like, what's such a why is she working with man? And we do learn a threat, and then we never see her again. And it's like I would have liked to like have her either be on the team or like we get more backstory about like the mascara or something like that. Like,
Yeah, how do we not follow up on her after she's the one that like told them the threat, and they just go back to Pakistan and what they just arrested Cersei and like they're just not going to do
sort of the
anything with
key, I
her
guess.
because
It
it
just
turns out that she was right.
yeah,
So that means like she wasn't lying.
yeah.
It's weird. It's
It's
weird.
it's yeah, it's definitely quite the strange. Yeah, it felt like James Gunn should have just really finished like let like one or two movies play out, build a little bit the universe of the movies, and then use this show as like a almost like a topic in a way. Like use the stuff that you got and you built from the movies, and then add this in addition. As a comic fan, I love this. I mean, I love all the references and stuff, but like for an average moviegoer or average watcher of this, there's a lot of references they're not going to understand that for them is going to make it harder to enter. To be honest, and having like even the Superman movie explain like Metropolis or like, for example, you know what I'm going to call right now that scene where all the people are fighting is probably this country, but after the princess dies or something. Like if I had to guess, if it was supposed to be tied in,
You're
that
talking
would be
about
like
the Cersei vision? What are you talking about?
no. So like in the
Who
Superman
fighting?
trailer, when all the people are fighting
Yeah,
in like the Middle East,
yeah.
like I assume that
Oh,
that's yeah. You get what I'm saying now? Like maybe that's that country. I don't know, just an idea, but
yeah,
like stuff like that where it's like if we saw that like and then you introduce that country in the Superman movie and then we go to that country in
yeah.
creature, it feels a lot more natural, if that makes sense.
Now I will be shocked if they mention Pakolistan in the Superman
Yeah,
movie. But if he's really trying to tie this shit together, he should be having every project feel like it's in the same universe by just referencing anything. So I can only hope that much.
yeah, but I still think this was a success. Honestly, I still think people are going to enjoy this. I think I personally enjoyed it. um I think this was good intro to the Creature Commandos specifically. um and I'm actually really excited for a season two. I hope the season two takes a while to make, just so that we can have some more movies in between to really flesh out more of the universe before we go in. Because I would love to see them go to like places like Santa Prisca or like fight villains that like we genuinely already know. Like I would love to see them fight Bane, for example, or like someone who controls animals. Like any like throw off villains that like could be introduced or even referenced in the movies.
Animal, vegetable, mineral man show when.
Literally. Also, oh wait, let's also real quick mention. I actually really did like that they brought in Nosferatu and Callus, the mummy, at the end.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really like that, and
Hmm.
King Shark. It kind of felt like a nice little full circle where it's like,
There's
okay, here's the
plenty
real creature
more.
commandos.
Right. There's plenty of monster characters in DC to pull from, and yeah, this team looks good, and I'm glad that they're going to keep using characters. Um, but yeah, the fact that King Shark wasn't already in the lineup was surprising to me, honestly.
Yeah, they couldn't get Sylvester Stallone to voice him.
Damn,
Yeah, so they probably didn't want
lazy
him.
bastard.
He's too busy filming 50 more Rocky movie.
Rocky 20.
Yeah, Rocky 20. But yeah, what do you give this out of 5, Elias?
I'm gonna give Creature Commandos 2 dead Nazis out of 5.
And I'm gonna give Creature Commandos 3 weasels out of 5. Well, anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like and subscribe. Support your local comic shop. Check out the live sale that we will be doing. Oh yeah, and comment below what you thought of the show. What monsters do you want featured next? That's a better question, actually. Bye-bye.
Bye.